Right now, as you're watching this, time is passing. Obvious, right? But here's the thing that'll mess with your head. Depending on where you are, how fast you're moving, and how strong gravity is around you, time is passing at a different speed than it is for me. And we're not talking metaphorically. I mean literally, measurably, scientifically different. Time isn't what you think it is. It's not a river flowing in one direction. It's not a clock ticking uniformly across the universe. Hell, some physicists argue it might not even exist at all. And yet, it's the one thing you can never get back, never save up, and never have enough of. Hey everyone, today we're diving into one of the deepest questions humans have ever asked. What is time? By the end of this video, you'll understand why time moves differently depending on speed and gravity, why your childhood felt longer than last year, what Einstein discovered that changed everything, and most importantly, whether time even exists or if we're all trapped in an elaborate cosmic illusion. Buckle up. This is going to get weird, personal, and yeah, there's definitely going to be sarcasm. Because honestly, the universe is trolling us hard with this one. Let's start with what your brain assumes time is. It's simple, right? Time is this thing that flows steadily from past to present to future. Yesterday happened, today is happening, tomorrow will happen. Linear, straightforward. Everyone experiences it the same way. You wake up, time passes, you go to work or school, more time passes, you eat dinner, watch some YouTube. Hey, good choice by the way. And then you sleep. Rinse and repeat. The universe has this cosmic clock, and we're all synchronized to it. Past is behind us, future is ahead, present is this tiny moment we're living in right now. This is called common sense time, and it's how humans have understood time for basically all of history. It's intuitive, it makes sense. Ancient civilizations built calendars around it. We schedule our entire lives around it. Every meeting, every deadline, every birthday, all based on this assumption that time is universal and flows the same for everyone. Here's the problem. It's completely wrong. Like, not even close. Common sense time is an illusion your brain creates because the truth is way too complicated for daily life. If your brain had to process what time actually is every time you checked your watch, you'd never get anything done. You'd just stand there, paralyzed by existential confusion. So, your brain simplifies. It gives you this nice, neat linear timeline. Past, present, future, easy. Except the universe doesn't work that way. At all. Then along comes this guy named Albert Einstein in 1905, and he basically walks up to all of human understanding and goes, "Yeah, so about that whole universal time thing?" Nope. Einstein discovered something called special relativity, which sounds fancy but basically means time is not the same for everyone. If you're moving really fast, time slows down for you compared to someone standing still. This isn't a theory, this isn't philosophical, this is measured, proven, tested a million times science. Here's a real example: GPS satellites. Those satellites are moving super fast around Earth, orbiting at about 14,000 kilometers per hour. Because they're moving that fast, time passes slightly slower for them than it does for us down here. If scientists didn't account for this time difference, your GPS would be off by kilometers every single day. Your phone would tell you you're in the middle of the ocean when you're actually at Starbucks. Time dilation isn't science fiction, it's why your navigation works. But wait, it gets weirder. Gravity also affects time. The stronger the gravity, the slower time moves. This is called general relativity, which Einstein figured out in 1915 because apparently breaking physics once wasn't enough for him. If you're standing at sea level, time moves slightly slower for you than for someone on top of a mountain because you're experiencing stronger gravity. The difference is tiny, we're talking nanoseconds, but it's real and measurable. If you lived your entire life at sea level and your twin lived on a mountain, by the time you're 80, your twin would be microseconds older than you. You'd age less. Congratulations, you found the world's worst anti-aging treatment. The point is, time is not universal. It's relative. It depends on where you are and how fast you're moving. There is no cosmic clock ticking the same way for everyone. Time is flexible, stretchable, and location-dependent. Einstein didn't just change physics, he broke reality. Okay, so if time isn't universal, if it moves differently depending on where you are and how fast you're going, then what even is time? One answer that comes from Einstein's relativity is something called the block universe. And this is where things get philosophically disturbing. Imagine the entire universe, past, present, and future, as a single, unchanging four-dimensional block. In this view, the Big Bang, dinosaurs, your birth, this moment right now, your death, and the end of the universe all exist simultaneously. They're all equally real, just located at different points in space-time. You're not moving through time. Time isn't flowing. Instead, you're like a character in a book, and all the pages exist at once. You experience your life as happening in sequence because your consciousness is limited to perceiving one moment at a time. But from the universe's perspective, your entire life, every moment you've ever lived or will ever live, is just there, frozen in the block. This means the future already exists. Right now, somewhere in the block universe, there's a version of you who's already watched this entire video. There's a version of you eating dinner tonight. There's a version of you 10 years from now. They all exist, just at different space-time coordinates. If this is true, and a lot of physicists think it might be, then free will becomes complicated. If the future already exists, did you ever really have a choice? Or are you just experiencing the predetermined path that was always there in the block? Before you have an existential crisis, here's the thing. Even if the block universe is real, you still don't know what's in your future. You still experience making choices. From your perspective, inside the block, moving through it moment by moment, it feels exactly like free will. So maybe it doesn't matter. Or maybe it does. Physics can't answer that one. That's above its pay grade. Alright, enough physics for a moment. Let's talk about something you've definitely noticed. When you were a kid, summer vacation felt like it lasted forever. Now, a year passes and you're like, wait, it's December already? Didn't we just do this? This isn't your imagination. Time perception genuinely changes as you age, and there are real psychological reasons for it. When you're 7 years old, 1 year is 1/7 of your entire life. That's a huge proportion of your existence. When you're 35, 1 year is 1/35 of your life. It's a smaller slice of your total experience, so it feels shorter. That's the proportional theory, and it's one explanation. But there's another reason that's even more important. Novelty. When you're a kid, everything is new. First day of school, first time riding a bike, first friend, first heartbreak. Your brain is constantly forming new memories because you're experiencing things for the first time. More memories equals the feeling of more time passing. As an adult, you fall into routines. You drive the same route to work every day. You eat the same breakfast. You watch the same shows. Your brain goes into autopilot because there's nothing new to pay attention to. And when you're not forming distinct memories, time compresses. That's why you can't remember what you did last Tuesday. It was identical to every other Tuesday. They blur together. Here's the kicker. This means if you want to slow down time, you need to break routine, do new things, travel, learn new skills, have new experiences. Your brain will form distinct memories, and when you look back, it'll feel like more time passed. This is why people say time flies when you're having fun, but also why a week-long vacation feels longer in memory than 2 months of doing the same thing every day. And here's a personal reflection. Remember the pandemic? Those first few months felt endless, right? Every day was the same, but we were so hyper-aware, so stressed, so uncertain that we were constantly paying attention. Time felt slow. But now, looking back, those months blur together into this weird compressed memory because ultimately, nothing distinct was happening. We were just stuck. The psychology of time perception is wild. Now we get to the really mind-bending question that some physicists are seriously asking. What if time doesn't exist at all? Here's the argument. Time doesn't appear in the fundamental equations of quantum mechanics. Space exists, energy exists, matter exists. But time might just be an emergent property, something that appears at large scales but isn't actually fundamental to reality. Think of it like temperature. Temperature feels real, right? Hot and cold are real experiences, but at the fundamental level, temperature doesn't exist. It's just atoms moving. Fast-moving atoms equal hot, slow-moving atoms equal cold. Temperature is an emergent property that describes the average behavior of countless particles, but it's not a fundamental thing in itself. Some physicists argue time is the same way. At the quantum level, there is no time. There's just stuff existing in different states. Time is what emerges when you zoom out and look at the universe at our scale, with our limited perception. It's a useful fiction our brains created to make sense of change and causality. If this is true, then the past doesn't exist anymore, the future doesn't exist yet, and the present is just this infinitesimally small point that's not really a thing either. We're trapped in this eternal now that's constantly being created and destroyed, and what we call time is just our brain's narrative trying to string these moments together into a coherent story. Okay, I realize this sounds like something someone would say at 3 a.m. after way too much coffee and an existential crisis. And honestly, that's kind of where theoretical physics is right now with time. We genuinely don't know. We have equations that work perfectly fine without time. We have theories where time is an illusion. And we have lived experience where time feels undeniably real. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Time might not be fundamental, but it's real enough at the scale we exist at. It's like asking if a rainbow is real. Technically, it's just light refraction. But go ahead and tell someone standing in front of a rainbow that it doesn't exist. Good luck with that argument. Alright, enough existential terror. Let's bring this back to something useful. If time is relative, if it's not universal, if it might not even be fundamentally real, what does that mean for you right now, watching this video? First, it means the time you have is genuinely limited and non-renewable. Whether time is an illusion or not, you're experiencing it as linear. You've got a finite number of moments. Every second you spend scrolling mindlessly, every hour you waste on something that doesn't matter to you, that's gone. Not in some abstract philosophical sense, it's literally gone from your experience. And here's the thing about time that no one really talks about. You can't save it. You can save money. You can save resources. You can't save time. It's use it or lose it constantly, forever, until you run out. Second, time perception is somewhat under your control. Remember what we said about novelty and routine? If your life feels like it's flying by, that's a signal. It means you're on autopilot. Break the pattern. Do something different. Learn that skill you've been putting off. Take that trip. Have that conversation. Your brain will thank you by making time feel richer. Third, be present. I know that's cliché advice that every motivational poster has beaten to death, but hear me out. The block universe says all moments exist equally, but you only get to experience one moment at a time. That's it. This specific moment, right now, is the only one you're actually in. So maybe don't spend it entirely in your head, worrying about a future that might already exist or regretting a past that's just a different point in space-time. And here's my personal reflection. I spent years waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, the right feeling. And looking back, I realize I was treating time like it was infinite, like I could always do things later. The pandemic especially made me realize how wrong that was. Time isn't guaranteed. The right moment is usually just now. So if you've been putting something off, waiting for later, here's your sign. Later is not a place you arrive at. Later is just a series of no's, and you'll be making the same excuse in every single one unless you decide differently. So what is time? Honestly, we still don't fully know. It's relative, not universal. It depends on speed and gravity. It might not even be fundamental to reality. But it's the medium through which you experience existence, and that makes it pretty damn important. Here's what we do know. Time at your speed, in your gravity, in your experience, is limited. You don't know how much you have. None of us do. And while physicists argue about whether the future already exists or if time is an illusion, you still have to decide what to do with the time you're experiencing right now. So here's my challenge to you. Do something this week that breaks your routine. Something new, something that'll create a distinct memory. Could be big, could be small. Doesn't matter. Just something that makes this week different from the blur of identical weeks. And if you found this valuable, if this made you think differently about time even for a moment, hit that like button. It helps this video reach more people who might need to hear this. And subscribe, because we're going to keep diving into these big questions that physics, philosophy, and psychology are all tangled up in. Oh, and here's the thing. If you have that one friend who's always late to everything, the one who treats time like it's optional, share this video with them. Send it with a message that says, "This one's for you." Will it fix their chronic lateness? Probably not, But at least they'll understand that time is literally moving differently for them when they're rushing, so maybe that's their excuse now. You're welcome. Time is weird. Time is relative. Time might be an illusion. But the experience of it? That's real. That's yours. Use it well. Thanks for spending some of your time here. I'll see you in the next video. Or maybe I already have, somewhere in the block universe. Who knows at this point?